Midnight, the witching hour. A blanket of darkness enveloped the world. The air, thick with silence, was punctuated only by the distant barking of dogs. Shadows stretched and twisted, taking on menacing forms. The old oak tree at the corner creaked, its branches swaying like skeletal fingers. A lone streetlight flickered, casting an eerie orange glow on the deserted street. It was the kind of night that sent shivers down your spine, the kind of night you could feel in your bones. Something was different, something was wrong, but what was it? A whisper of movement cut through the stillness, sending a shiver down my spine. The night was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. The air was thick with an unsettling tension, as if the very forest was holding its breath. It was a girl, no older than 12, standing beneath the flickering streetlight. She seemed out of place, a ghostly figure in the otherwise deserted street. The light cast eerie shadows on her small frame, making her appear almost ethereal. Her long black hair cascaded down her back, obscuring most of her face. It was as if she was hiding from the world, or perhaps the world was hiding from her. The strands of hair moved slightly in the breeze, adding to the sense of unease. She wore a tattered white dress, its hem stained a muddy brown. The dress looked like it had seen better days, now hanging loosely on her frail frame. It fluttered slightly, as if whispering secrets of a forgotten past. She raised her head slowly, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. The movement was almost mechanical, as if she was being controlled by some unseen force. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence. Her skin was as pale as death, her lips cracked and dry. She looked like she hadn't seen sunlight in years, a ghostly apparition in the night. Her gaunt appearance made her seem even more otherworldly. But it was her eyes that truly chilled me to the bone-large, black pits that seemed to reflect the darkness of the night itself. They were voids, empty and soulless, drawing me in and making me feel as if I was staring into the abyss. The longer I looked, the more I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. I watched, frozen in place, unable to comprehend the terror that was unfolding before my eyes. As the girl began to walk towards me, her movements were unnaturally slow, almost as if she was gliding through the darkness. Each step was slow and deliberate, her bare feet making no sound on the pavement. It was as if she was a ghost, a spectre from another world. The air grew colder, the silence heavier, as if the very atmosphere around her was charged with dread. The misty cold air seemed to wrap around me, suffocating me with fear. I wanted to run, to scream, to do anything to escape the terrifying aura that surrounded her. My mind was screaming at me to move, to flee from this nightmare. But I was paralyzed, my body refusing to obey my mind's frantic commands. It was as if an invisible force was holding me in place, trapping me in my own fear. She stopped just a few feet away, her head cocked to one side as if studying me. Her eyes were dark and empty, devoid of any emotion, and yet they seemed to pierce through my very soul. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence. I could feel my pulse racing, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. The fear was overwhelming, consuming me entirely. In the distance I could see a shadowy figure looming, barely visible in the darkness. It felt like the shadows themselves were closing in on me, ready to swallow me whole. I took a hesitant step back, my legs trembling with fear. But no matter how much I wanted to escape, I knew there was no running from this nightmare. Then she smiled. It wasn't the smile of a child. It was something cold, cruel, and utterly inhuman. For a moment, I glimpsed rows of sharp teeth behind her cracked lips. The girl opened her mouth, and a voice, raspy and ancient, whispered through the night, "Lost, are you?" Suddenly, the barking of dogs grew closer, snapping me out of my trance. I blinked, and when I opened my eyes again, the girl was gone. The street was empty, the only sound the pounding of my own heart. Had I imagined it all? The next day, whispers of the midnight girl spread like wildfire. The entire town was abuzz with the eerie tale, and it seemed like everyone had something to say about it. Some dismissed it as a foolish rumor, a figment of overactive imaginations. They laughed it off, saying it was just another ghost story to scare the children, but others, those who had seen her, knew better. They spoke in hushed tones, their eyes wide with fear, recounting the chilling encounter. They knew that something evil lurked in the shadows of our town. The darkness seemed to have a life of its own, creeping and crawling, waiting to pounce. As for me, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease, the lingering chill in my bones. Every creak, every rustle in the night made my heart race. Then I saw it, a missing person poster on the lamppost where the girl had stood. The sight of it sent shivers down my spine. It was her, the girl from the night before. Her face was unmistakable, etched into my memory with a haunting clarity. But there was one chilling difference. The girl in the picture was smiling, a warm, genuine smile. It was as if she was mocking us, mocking our fear. The townspeople gathered, whispering amongst themselves, trying to make sense of the unsettling events. The air was thick with tension and dread. Old newspaper clippings surfaced, recounting similar disappearances and mysterious events from years past. It seemed this wasn't the first time our town had been haunted. Want to read more spine-tingling tales? Subscribe now for a weekly dose of horror. Dive deeper into the mysteries that lurk in the shadows.